Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pito and Beth, and today we are going to talk about Love Aaj Kal, the movie that Imtiaz Ali made 15 years ago, back in 2009. We probably will not talk about the second Love Aaj Kal that he also made in 2020 that was quite horrible and made me want to bash my head against photogenic rocks. The movie we're talking about stars Saif and Deepika, and it's written and directed by Imtiaz Ali. The music is really nice. It's by Preetham and Salim Suleiman, and both Beth and I have many, many thoughts about it. So, Beth, I presume you have seen both films.
I haven't seen the second one because you told me not to.
So smart. That is wonderful. See, I'm known for giving good advice. Don't watch it. It is terrible. It will put you in a bad mood forever.
Oh,
Um, what did you think of Love Ajkal? When did you see it, by the way?
I saw it in the cinema, I think,
Okay, I did too.
and I had not revisited it since then. Kind of wish I hadn't revisited it, honestly. Um, I did not, I was not angry at it most of the time or anything, but I kept thinking, why was this such a big deal?
Mm,
Um, but I'm sure we will discuss that. I have at least one sort of proposal to put forward about maybe why it was such a big deal. But
mm,
this is reminding me that it took Deepika a little while to become the actor we know her today.
yeah,
And I remember her first couple years thinking like, ooh, and then like, oh, okay, pretty good. And then ooh, again.
yeah.
I don't remember what I thought about this at the time in terms of her acting, but what looking back, I was not a fan.
Hmm.
Um, And also, I know a lot of people love the music from this film. That too didn't really grab me on this time. Like I think I must have liked it at the time, but
Hmm.
it's not one that has stayed with me. And as things rolled around, I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay, okay.
Right.
To me, it's no job we met.
Oh,
Um,
no, not at all. Okay.
so yeah, what about you? Did it hold up for you?
So when I watched it ages ago, in the movie theater, I remember really enjoying it. I used to live in Chicago at the time, and I went with friends, and it was a really good time. I liked Seth. I enjoyed the music a lot, and I just remember it being very fun, and it felt very youthful and enjoyable. And I remember all the outfits in it were the rage. In fact, I remember that
Hmm.
there's this chain in India. It's called Shopper Stop, and they had done like a limited marketing thing with this movie where they were selling the outfits that Deepika wore in the movie. And my mom was gonna fly in from India like a week later. So one of my friends in Seattle literally texted me, and she was like, I'm gonna order a bunch of things from Shopper Stop and mail it to your mom's address, and can she just bring them for me? And it was literally the same kurtis that Deepika has
Oh
worn
gosh.
in the film. So I remember it being like a big deal back then, and everyone was talking about it. This time when I watched it, I still enjoyed it, and I think there was a little bit of a nostalgia factor. But like you, I've never revisited this film between then and now. Like I wouldn't say it's like a favorite of mine the way say Jab We Met is. Um, but gosh darn, I really, really enjoyed Seth in this. I love him when he's doing this kind of urban Casanova party boy thing. Like no one does party boy like Seth does party boy.
Mm,
And he reminded me a little bit in this, like his character in this, and then his character in Salam Namaste, his character in Dil Chahta Hai. They all kind of blend a little bit for me. Like they all
yeah,
seem like shades of the same dude,
yeah.
and yet I don't mind it because I enjoy him so much. I
Hmm.
also forgot how absolutely handsome he looks in a turban,
Oh.
because I remembered how good he looked in Sacred Games, and I was like, what is this? Saif Ali Khan in a turban. He looks amazing on that motorbike, but he looked so good in the turban in this movie, although his Punjabi was very bad. And even I, as a non Punjabi person, could tell how terrible it was. Um, but I think Saif really made it for me.
Yeah.
And the music I've always enjoyed, and that made it for. Obviously, the music is not of the caliber of Jab We Met, but it's still like Ahu Ahu, that last song
Yeah.
that plays when the credits play. I mean, that is so fun, and I've
Yeah.
forgotten that Saif, he's actually a really fun dancer to watch. Like
And
he's no
he's
Hrithik Roshan,
and
but
he's
he's
better
fun.
than she is there.
Oh, 100%.
And the other that they have together.
And Deepika is supposed to be like a decent dancer, but she is so stiff in this movie. And I'm
Yeah.
no
It's like
Deepika fan.
you can watch her counting the steps, you know?
Exactly. And he's
Hmm.
just like effortless and
Yeah.
fun. And he
Yeah.
sinks his teeth into both the party boy as well as the Punjabi rustic boy. And I just kind of really enjoyed, again, that old love story, which I think is that supposed to be 1960 or something? Whatever that era. I think
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah. Circa
60s.
1970, maybe. Yeah. Something like that.
I really enjoyed that bit. But man, Deepika is the downer in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. I did blog about this back in the day. So I was looking
Okay.
at what I had said about it. And that's basically what I said. My review is like, the less of Deepika, the better.
Yeah.
Uh, apparently someone on the film fair Twitter said at one point, Deepika is tall. That was the review. According to my quote anyway. I really at the time I really thought Steph was very good in this and like that kind
Yeah.
of, you know, um uh, this is in most ways a kind of less is more romance that
Hmm.
stylistically, which I'm very okay with. I know it's not as filmy, obviously, where usually more is more, but I think and I'm sure that is what helps it feel fresh
Hmm.
and youthful and probably millennial oriented at the time, since the real age of those characters. But maybe now, like, okay, we've done that, and it's
Right.
not. And maybe it is one for the ages if you didn't live it or if you lived it more specifically than I did. Like I'm kind of not
Hmm.
exactly it, but I'm not young enough not to remember it. So it's kind of like,
Right.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember I one of the things that I wrote was I was actually thinking they might actually just end up as friends.
Yeah.
Um,
I
because
actually
it
would have preferred it.
really seemed like that's maybe where they were going to go. And, now me looks at that and I think, I am a subscriber to the love is basically friendship kind of philosophy. So
You're
I
Shah Rukh
like
Khan from Kuch Kuch
exactly,
Hota Hai.
exactly.
Love,
So
Pyar Dosti Hai.
and, when Harry Met Sally and all so many films that do that. So I like that. I like that they have this sort of gentle, chill, not a big deal, no
Hmm.
weeping, or not a lot of weeping anyway. And that when they are at their most dramatic, it's when they are frustrated because they haven't
Right.
quite got it figured out yet, but that their day to day is not dramatic. And I really,
Hmm.
that's very pleasant. This film is very
Yeah.
pleasant, and that is no small thing.
Right. I think also, like, looking at it now in 2024, it doesn't seem as interesting. And I
No.
don't want to use the word groundbreaking. I just can't think of what other word to use right now because I haven't had enough
Yeah.
caffeine. But 15 years ago, I do remember some of the chatter around this film being that it was so nice to see a film about two young, modern, consenting adults who live in a city and have work of their own and careers of their own.
Yes.
And there was no talk of like, will our parents agree to the match, and rona dhona and tyag and izzat and
Yeah.
all of that. And it
None of
just
that.
seemed very like, let's get together, let's break up. I mean, the movie literally begins with them like breaking up or having broken up and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was all portrayed in such a chill way, when for decades, if you broke up with someone, it meant you had to nurse a broken heart for the rest of your life and be grumpy about it and perhaps drink yourself to death, a la Devdas.
Mm.
Um, Back then, like 15 years ago, that felt so refreshing.
Mm.
I also remember, like, while I was not bowled over by Deepika's acting at all, I remember liking the fact that her character had hopes and dreams and ambitions of her own.
Absolutely.
The fact that she moved back to Delhi because she wanted to have that career of like the
Mm-hmm.
restoration or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's pragmatic, the fact that she wants to date Rahul Khanna's character, which of course she does
Of
because
course
he's
she does.
Rahul Khanna. I was like,
Except he's her boss.
I know.
Oh, so yucky. That has aged very badly. I don't even remember noting that particularly at the time.
I know.
Bad, 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 bad.
But then I saw Rahul Khanna and I was like, I had actually forgotten he was in this movie, by the way.
Oh, really?
I had. And when I saw him, I was like, wait, what? He's here? How
I
lovely.
mean,
That was a
Rahul
pleasant
Khanna is a like
surprise.
museum adjacent person. Of course I remembered it.
And he's so believable in that
Very
too. Like he was
believable.
great in that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But Yeah, so I remember liking that because it was so unusual, even until about like 15 years ago, and definitely 20 years ago, to watch movies where someone had a goal and an agenda. I mean, just look at a movie like, say, DDLJ, right, which came
Yeah,
out a lot before this did. What does the main character do? I mean, what does Kajal's character want? What does she do?
right,
What is she
right.
studying? Does she want to have a career? I don't think
Yeah,
even she knows. She's
yeah.
just getting on some train in Europe, and then she's gonna go to the Cape, and then she's gonna marry some dude her dad picked out for her. That was how female characters were written for the longest time, and no one even questioned it,
Mhm.
which is why, as women, and especially urban women and girls who were educated and had jobs and careers and wanted to continue those jobs and careers
Yeah.
and were willing to move for it, I think 15 years ago when this movie came out, it was interesting. It was like, oh, cool. And there wasn't even a big deal made out of it. Like, she's just casually in her living room telling her folks, oh, yeah, so I'm going to move to Delhi because I want to do this job. And her grandma is like, we don't even know what this job is. What exactly is it that you do? Everyone was so chill about it. I think the chillness of it
Hmm.
and the non-drama, like you
Hmm.
said, I think was what was appealing. But
Hmm.
gosh darn, Deepika's performance in this is glaringly
It's
bad
a little
compared
wooden.
to
Yeah,
Saif.
yeah.
Yeah. um and that of course got my recasting bug
Ah,
that I have working, and I remember thinking to myself how much I would have enjoyed to see Preeti in this.
I was just thinking that too.
I think
Yeah,
Preeti would have
I
been
like them
so
together.
lovely.
Yeah.
And okay, here's the other thing, right? Like, for me, Saif and Preeti have such a great chemistry because you can see how they would fit really well as friends.
Mm,
They have that like friendship and camaraderie. Maybe it helps that Preeti Zinta and Saif Ali Khan are actual friends in real life
mm,
outside of work. Like, she's often said that her best friend in the film industry is Saif Ali Khan.
mm,
So there's that friendship and camaraderie that they have, but they also have the chemistry
mm,
that makes their romances work. I think Saif and Rani also have that chemistry, but
hmm.
I don't know if I buy them as friends.
Yeah, I didn't want to swap Ronnie into this
Yeah,
particularly, which
I
is rare
wanted
for me.
Preeti here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted Preeti here, and I remember thinking that Preeti would still be able to do that whole like, I'm modern, I have a job, I mean, I have a degree, I have a job, I have a career I want to pursue, I have a mind of
Hmm.
my own, I don't want to be shackled by someone, and she's modern, and she's like all of that. But at the same time, I think she would have been so much more fun to watch. And
Hmm.
Deepika was just kind of like sleepwalking through it. So she was
She was a little what, like timid or something? Yeah,
restrained.
yeah, in a way that was not, it wasn't like chill restrained. It was just like, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing
Yeah.
restrained. And I know she was fairly new at the time. Imtiaz Ali and his wanting to cast women who haven't had many films yet is I don't know. It's a thing he does a few times because obviously the Brazilian, is she a
Giselle.
model who is in
Yeah.
this? Like, what was the point of that? There was no point of that. I was reading somewhere, maybe it's even on Wikipedia, that like it was kept a big secret that she was in it and everything. And you're like, that there's no big reveal here. She doesn't have anything even to do. And like she
Yeah.
looks pretty. I
Yeah.
I does she look Indian? I defer
Ugh.
to all others on this matter, but like, who
Right.
cares? Who cares? Could
She
have been
also
literally
has like
anyone.
zero screen presence. And I know
Not
she's
really,
supposed
no.
to play like a village belle, and she's very like controlled in this extremely like male dominated family
Hmm.
and culture or whatever. But like, oh my God, even that moment when he comes to Calcutta and he's across the street and he has the thing in his hands and stuff, and she's supposed to be delighted and giddy. I was like, that's delighted? Really?
Yeah,
Okay. So
not great.
very, very underwhelming. But this is a very Imtiaz Ali thing to do. I mean, who can forget Nargis Fakri in Rockstar? So it makes me wonder about this man, like, because he is the karta dharta of this movie, right? Like, he's written the screenplay, he's written the director. He must have had an extremely big hand in casting it. And it's like, I like how he portrays his men within reason. I haven't seen Tamasha, so I can't speak to that movie.
Oh, hmm.
I've never seen Tamasha, but I it's like he gets good performances out of the man, and he writes good characters for them and stuff. And then somehow he just doesn't know how to direct actresses, or he casts actresses just because they have the face card. Like Deepika is
Yeah.
pretty, so I'll cast her. Nargis Fakri is pretty, I'll cast her. Giselle is pretty. If they can't act, it's fine. The only time he's ever had a female character that did a really good job was Karina in Jab We Met, and she was spectacular. And then I also did like Aisha Takia in Socha Na Tha, which
Yeah.
was the first film.
Um,
Like this is not a coincidence, Beth.
no, I know. I'm just looking back at the filmography and um I thought Alia was excellent in Highway.
Mm. But then again, in Amar Singh Chamkila, the most recent Imtiaz Ali thing we saw, it was the same thing. Diljit Dosanjh was absolutely killing it. And again, we were like, what is Pariniti Chopra
Yeah,
doing
she
here?
was a little like not quite there.
Yeah.
And this instance, because she's nowhere near a newcomer, I feel like that was very on purpose from the director, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Um,
Because we both watch videos of the real Amar Singh Chamkila
yeah,
and his wife,
yeah,
and she's much more animated than Pariniti's
yeah.
character is. So this is definitely an Imtiaz Ali thing, and I kind of wish that someone, maybe such an interview exists, but I really want to know why. Why does he let his actresses
Is
just get away with
he
doing nothing?
is he one of the men who wants women to represent an idea and not be a real person? That's a thing. I'm not saying that's what's going on, but that would explain it a little bit. Like, uh, I'm thinking of Ram Terry Ganga Meli, right? Like she's a symbol more than a person.
Yeah.
So is that a little bit of what's going on here? Or she's like a notion or something rather than a um I mean, I'm not sure. I think that's exactly here. Maybe there's elements of it, but I did really like the writing and to Deepika's credit, the portrayal of when she begins to realize, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, I've made the wrong, I've done
Right.
a wrong, not just wrong by to myself, but I'm hurting this other person in the process and I have to get out of this.
Hmm.
Obviously her timing is filmy and silly,
Yeah.
but I thought that she did a pretty good job at portraying the kind of like I'm not making crazy motion. I'm making like your brain
Right.
is whirring around like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I got,
Right.
how do I get out of this?
Yeah. The
Um,
spiral kind of.
yeah, I thought she did pretty well at that.
I loved Saif's scene actually at the wedding when they meet in
Yeah.
private in that garden, and it's just stream of consciousness, just sort of this word salad that he's saying. He's
Mm-hmm.
saying what he wants to, but
Mm-hmm.
then he's questioning himself. He's thinking aloud. That
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was so hard to pull off. It's
Yeah.
like a monologue, but it kind of isn't, but it is. And I think I just felt like his performance in that was so nuanced. And I think it also was interesting because when people talk about Saif Ali Khan's good performances, including like I'm including myself in this bracket, we always talk about performances like Omkara or Ek Hasina Thi, the more serious
Yeah.
movies and the more like where he's kind of like this Machiavellian character, right? We don't give him enough credit for his incredible comic timing or how natural
Yeah.
he
I think
is.
he's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but like even in that scene, and I would characterize his character this a similar way that I characterized Geet in Job We Met, where I would say I find that person so absolutely endearing, but I
Yeah.
also want to throttle them at the same
Yeah.
time. Like I wish someone would just like be like, get some
especially
common sense.
especially after having just rewatched Tushin, where there's a little bit of similarity between these two Seth characters, but this one is a little milder in that direction and is not
Mm,
so ridiculous. He's not such a Casanova
okay.
and his I think like this is a more moderated version of that seems a little more I'm tempted to say reasonable. And since when does reasonable enter into my perception of filminess? I don't know, but like this,
Right.
yeah, I liked this guy felt very real. He felt
Yeah.
very now I will say, yes, they have careers that they love. His job is bridge. Her job is restore. Like there's not a lot of anything put into that beyond noting that they do it and there's accoutrement, but there's
Yeah.
very little text
Yeah.
about what they're doing. Um,
My
and I don't know if they let like the 22-year-old fresh university graduates into whatever monument she's supposed to be in Delhi, like, brushy, brushy,
yeah.
brushy. If India is like the US, this kind of field is extremely competitive and tight. I don't know, but she's obviously London
But
educated
in
or whatever,
Imtiaz
but
Ali world, if you're pretty, that's all that matters,
sure,
Beth.
sure.
You just
Yeah.
bat your eyelashes and they let you do what
And
you
you can
want to
be up
do.
on the ropes like at the dome of the ceiling, doing stuff. But so that I was a little frustrated by that because initially it isn't really great that they are these people with careers that are important to them, especially because these are quite niche careers.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is not like I wish to be businessman or even industrialist, right? Like this is a little more nuanced, but then there's nothing done with it really. So
Yeah.
that disappointed me on this return. And I don't need a ton of time spent with that, but maybe some,
Right.
and especially because all that we see her get out of her job is that she dates her boss, which
Right.
is super gross, mostly on his end, but
Right.
and there's no tension over that either, really,
You're
right? Or
right.
she does say something about like it could be awkward if we date or whatever, but
Right.
then she goes ahead and does it anyway. So
Yeah. And
I
I
don't
think
know.
at their dinner date or whatever, Rahul Khanna makes a comment about like she wants to pay because she said, I asked you out. And then he said, don't be silly, I'm your boss. And I'm like, no, that is why you shouldn't be having dinner with
Right.
her. But okay. Um, okay, I have to tell you that the whole Saif montage of him like working cracked me up because I live in the Bay Area. I don't live in San
Right.
Francisco, but I go to San Francisco almost every other weekend with my dog. And the whole idea of like, I was like, okay, first of all, what is Golden Gate Ink? What is Golden Gate Ink? I've never heard of it. So I Google it, and the first Google search I get is Golden Gate Ink. It's a hookah shop. Obviously, that's a joke. But I was like, I'm very confused. So, okay, so what is he? Is he an architect? Is he a bridge specialist? Is he a civil engineer? Like what
Yeah.
part, is he a bridge painter? I don't know. Like what does he do? I do not understand. And then he's like, I want to work on the Golden Gate Bridge. I was like, there are many bridges though. There are many, many bridges that you could work on. Why do you only want to work on this bridge? That made me giggle.
Because it's
And
the
then when
most
he
famous bridge, I
right,
guess,
but
right?
still,
Most
he's
famous
like, I
English
will
speaking
work
bridge.
on the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm like, okay. And then the best part is when he gets the job and he calls her, he's like, I'm gonna go work at Golden Gate Inc. And she's like, okay, amazing. And then this is so Seth, and I actually find it hilarious that the first thing they show him do is he goes to the hair salon and he gets like a cut and color done because that's the first thing you do when you get a
New
job
job,
at
new
the
you.
Golden Ink. And then he goes to the store and he gets all these suits and everything, which is hilarious because that is exactly what I would expect a Saif character to do. Saif today is probably that dude who goes to his dermatologist's office, has him on speed dial, and he's like, yes, some more Botox, please. So I loved it. It felt very in tune with who he was. And that whole montage where in the beginning he's so happy and he's running and he's taking the tram and he's like excited. And then
Everybody
he
loves
goes,
him on the tram.
yeah. And then he does the happy hour with everyone. And he, oh my God, he's having so much fun. And then as the days pass and the weeks or months, whatever that time lapse is supposed to be, and then towards the end, he's just like, oh, I was like, this is such a great statement
Yeah.
about the capitalist society we live in, where it's like day when you're like, hello, bright eyed and bushy tailed. And then by year, whatever, you're like, ugh, you have a severe case of the Mondays.
His depression stubble looked great though.
It did actually. I saw it. I was like, oh, he's not shaving anymore. And
Yeah,
then I
that was a
like
good
that.
look.
Yeah. But then it vanished. I
Can
did
we
like that scene also where he said, I have a problem. He says to Rishi Kapoor, I can't be unhappy for too long. I was like, I also believe that.
Yeah. I did like that. So she, I think, is presented as being a little more serious than he
Mm,
is. But I liked that this sort of lighthearted, a little happy-go-lucky guy also does have this thing that he really cares about. And
yeah.
in fact, he's cared about it longer than
Hmm.
Mira. Um,
Yeah.
so that's extra nice that he had, that they both got to devote some time to a thing that was fully independent of the other person, and had
Right.
been a part of their life for longer. I liked that. There's a couple more things for sure I want to talk about, but can I just toss in here the god awful acting by the woman playing his London girlfriend?
She's so bad. She was like a little
So
goldfish.
She was born in the UK.
Okay.
She was speaking English with some kind of,
No, no, no. Doesn't he say in one scene, he says she's Swiss and she doesn't speak great English.
oh, okay. So then why did they cast a British person, I wonder? Okay, so that was a British person doing a terrible
Because when he's in
Swiss accent.
Delhi, when he takes her with him and he's with his friends or whatever, and then he says a thing where he's like, she's Swiss, so she's not like the most fluent in English or something, but she was so
Okay.
bad.
She's
And
really
even in
bad.
that song that happened in the carnival or whatever it was,
Twist. Yeah,
yeah, twist, and she's just so blank the whole time.
she's very
Again,
blank.
how hard is it? All you have to do is cast a really pretty extra who's hot, who would catch that dude's eyes, right? Like, she has to be fashionable and hot and everything. She has to do a few good dance moves, and she has to do a little bit of acting, but Imtiaz Ali can't even find someone to do that.
He didn't, or he didn't bother, right?
It's
There's no
incredible.
spark between them at all. And if it had just been a one night stand kind of thing, then you'd be like, okay, fine. She's blonde, she's pretty, like whatever.
Yeah,
But
she's
that's not what
essentially his
they,
fiance, I think.
yeah, they didn't turn it into that. They went with this person that he also doesn't seem to be able to communicate with very well. Anyway, the less said about her, the better. I did want to note it. Let's talk about Rishi.
Yes, he made me smile the whole time. He was just
Yeah,
so
so good to see
effortless. So
him.
good to see him. I love the dialogue where he said, in classic, this is also very classic Rishi Kapoor, where he just says कि अपने ज़माने में बड़ा खतरनाक बंदा था. Like, I was, and the subtitles literally said, in my youth, I was a very handsome or gorgeous man. And I screen capped it and immediately sent it. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, you were. Um, he was so darling. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought about Rishi?
Well, I mean, first of all, I really was just delighted to see him because I guess I remembered he was in this, but it was so heartwarming to see him. I know we talk about him
Yeah.
a lot on this podcast, and obviously we've just
Yeah.
been focusing on the Kapoors, but honestly, what a his character roles as he aged really are just so great, and this is one
Yeah.
of them. I do think there are other people who could have lent a similar sort of vibe in this, but I was very, very glad it was him. I thought he did a lovely job. Did they cast him just so they could pull Nitu out at the end? Maybe, but I don't care. I'm here for it. I'm all for it. Although how that blankety blank piece of wood turned into Nitu's thing, I don't know. But maybe she just needed to get out from under her family, right? And then she blossomed. But
That
uh
was the only thing
it
that
was
made me
cute.
pause. I was like,
Yeah,
you need to pick like an older actress who is a lot more vanilla than Neetu Singh.
right,
So
right.
yeah.
But I was charmed by Rishi. What do you make of the fact that Saif is Saif in the flashback, but Deepika is not Deepika in the flashback? So why
Because she's
does
not, because it's not like a reincarnation story,
I
right?
know,
It's
but like why is Saif playing young Rishi?
because there's because Rishi makes that dialogue, right? That comment where he says that you remind me of what I
I
was like when
know,
I was young.
but like I don't know. I kind of thought it really, really so that coupled with the fact that Deepika is kind of a non-presence really as an actor, and then also the way she's written, that the story really is Jay's, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
for sure.
that's okay. But like kind of when I went into this, I think I was thinking it was going to be a little more equal. Maybe I just didn't remember. I don't know. But
Mm.
it's really his movie. Um,
It is, because Rishi's character also is so important, right? Like, I would actually argue that Rishi's character is more important than Deepika's is, because
yeah,
Rishi's character is the one that is kind of like almost steering Jay's ship,
yeah,
because he decides to take him under his wing and give him some opinion, like life advice or whatever.
yeah.
And are we supposed to assume that Rishi and Neetu's characters, like, yes, they're married and they live in London? Are we supposed to assume that they never had any kids? Because there's no mention of any children at all,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
and
know.
you don't see any grown-up kids. So my assumption was that they don't have kids, and when he sees this person, he's reminded of, someone who could have been perhaps his child, and he's like an
Hmm.
uncle, like a
Yeah,
kindly old
maybe,
uncle.
maybe.
And he's almost the one who's kind of like trying to steer Jay, and
Yeah,
essentially saying to Jay that, like, I basically fought for my love despite all the obstacles or whatever in my path, and I think that you're being too um, casual.
Blasé, yeah.
You're being too blasé and you're just like
Mm.
throwing it away like it's absolutely nothing, but you may not have this opportunity to fall in love again. So I would say at least take it more seriously than you are right
Mm-hmm.
now. So in some
Mm-hmm.
ways he's far more important than Deepika's
Mm-hmm.
characters, because Deepika's character could be anyone, but this
Yeah.
guy and his advice in some ways changes the scope of Jay's character, and maybe Jay's character decides to fight because of what that guy said, right?
Yeah.
So to me it's almost
Oh yeah.
like it's that dude's story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost like more a story about those two men
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's
how
true.
they fall in love and what they think of love, and who they fall in love with, frankly, doesn't matter because this is an Imtiaz Ali movie. So Gisele Montero doesn't matter, Deepika doesn't matter, Neetu doesn't matter. It's really these
Yeah.
two dudes that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but I really enjoyed seeing Saif in that because, again, he's just so charming.
Yeah, he was good.
And I think he really channeled that Rishi energy, because all those 70s movies that I've seen of Rishi where he was young, he played the party boy.
Mm-hmm.
He always played the Casanova. He always played the boy in the mufflers who was going like skating in Shimla, and he was going to bowling alleys. Like he said, Kapoors don't play poor guys. We look rich, so we play rich guys. Um, so he and Rishi always had young Rishi always had this thing where he was like a chocolate hero in looks, but he had that temper
Yeah.
and that entitlement and that chip on his shoulder when you knew he could snap like that. Like he was not nicey nice the way Shashi was.
Yeah.
He wasn't as gentlemanly. Like he could be a cad.
Yeah.
And I like that Seth channeled that too, because like when you
Mm.
see the young Seth in the turban, he's kind of a jerk
Oh
to
yeah.
those other people, like the laborers and stuff. He's so
Yeah.
mean to them for no reason. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why are you being such a jerk? But to me, that is so in line with like what a young Rishi would be like,
Mm.
um, rather than what a young Seth would be like. Young
Mm.
Seth is never a jerk in any of his films.
Mm.
He's a little dim
Yeah.
and he's very much flashy and like
Yeah.
a Casanova and stuff, but he's
Cheerful
never
sidekick.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's never mean.
Yeah.
So I really liked how that character kind of channeled the Rishi angle. And while I did find the very vaguely, well, not vaguely, quite stalkery behavior extremely irritating, I really like the fact that that
Yeah.
girl kind of like verbalized it, where she said that this is not cool and you need to stop doing that, and it's going to be really bad for me. And it's just, it was
But
really
he,
awful.
yeah, but
Again, a
he,
better actress would have been able to show her fear and anxiety over it better. But that was
and
very
maybe,
creepy.
and maybe some more time spent with that character, not with him as well, right? Like why did, let's see a little more of her context or whatever. But as you
Yeah.
said, it's the men's movie and it doesn't really matter, apparently.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, what else?
Yeah, I don't have a ton more to say about this movie, I don't think. If anyone listening to this has not seen it, we've spoiled it for you mostly, but also I don't sure you could watch it. Sure. I don't think
Yeah,
is it essential 2000s Hindi film viewing? Maybe. Maybe it
I think
is.
so.
It probably is actually. Um, but has it had an impact? What was its impact? Were there a lot more movies like this after this? I would have to really think about that. And I meant to think about it before today, but I didn't. Uh, but do you feel that it had
I
imitators, successors? Did it set anything up?
So because I don't know the chronology, I don't know who copied whom. But there are a lot of these like NRI romances that are a little bit in the same vibe. I feel like Kunal Kohli makes stuff like this, like Salam Namaste comes to mind,
Mm.
where it's kind of a similar thing that's going on. And then Dil Chahta, of course, has a little bit of that, although Dil Chahta is like a vastly, vastly superior film to this. But there are a few movies that came out around that time where
So
they all had similar things
Salam
going on.
Namaste is 4 years older than this.
Okay.
I would not have guessed that at all. Um, because they do seem now that's a film I haven't rewatched in a long time either. And it will be 20 next year. Oh my
Oh,
God.
nice.
Oh wow, are we all this old? Um, But
Yeah, they
yeah,
kind of seem in that same vibe. But again, like I don't feel like Salam Namaste is like some sort of earth-shattering movie either.
no, no,
And
no,
it's
no.
not like iconic. But these films were like fun films to watch when you're young and you go with like your friend circle to the movie theater, and it's like a fun, breezy, romantic film to watch with your buddies. Not necessarily movie that you keep rewatching through
Yeah,
the ages, but
yeah.
they're
I'm
they're cute
laughing.
for what they were.
I'm laughing because I had forgotten that the director of Salam Namaste is the director of War and Pathan.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
Kunal Kohli made Salam Namaste. Did he
not that
not?
one. No,
Oh,
no.
okay. Because it has such a Kunal Kohli vibe to it.
He
I feel
he
like
did he did do my first Hindi film,
yeah, but
Mujhse
see,
Dosti Krogi, but yeah, same kind of
that
thing, right?
one
In a way.
also kind of falls into that same bucket for me. They're all similar, and I don't know if it's the 2000s-ness of it, or if it's the costumes, or if it's the music, but they all kind of blend together a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Even
I
Kya
also,
Kehna, if you
yeah,
delete the unwed mother aspect of it, but the
yeah,
vibe, the tone.
yeah,
What were
yeah.
we saying?
Oh, I had forgotten that Kunal Kohli was is a relative of the Dawans of
Oh, is
David.
he?
Yeah. Varan is his cousin.
Oh, okay. But he's done more stuff with YRF though. Kunal Kohli, right? Like he's done a lot more
So yes,
Yash Raj or Dharma type of
Hum
stuff.
Tum
See,
Fana.
Humdum is another movie that has this similar vibe. All
Yeah.
those Saif
Oh
movies from
yeah.
the 2000s
God,
have
he
that
did a lot of
same.
those, didn't he?
He did. He was
Yeah.
basically, that was his shtick though.
Hum
That's what
Tum
he
is
used to
now.
do.
I need to rewatch Hum Tum because I do love Seth and Ronnie together.
Yeah.
So that would be a fun one to see.
I
Hmm.
don't particularly enjoy Hamtum because every time I've only watched it once, but it annoys me because I keep comparing it to the original. And I'm like, how dare you remake When Harry Met Sally? How could you even attempt this travesty?
I think that it was absolutely necessary that someone in Bollywood remade When Harry Met Sally, right? Like that's a gimme. That was gonna happen.
But the
But
original is so
I
good.
know, I don't think this is a worthy
Yeah.
I don't know the worldwide When Harry Met Sally remakes. I would be or in adaptations. I'd be interested to see. That would be fun to look into. But no, this is not a great take on it.
And it's like, yes, I like Saif, but Saif ain't no Billy Crystal. Like Billy Crystal in When Harry Met Sally makes me want to pull my hair out. Like again, that is a character I would love to throttle. Saif is just, he's too charming. He's
Mm,
too slick. And I want him to be more gruff and
mm,
annoying. And I want to have that same like irritated reaction to him. So like Hamtum is one of those movies that if I had never seen, like I love When Harry Met Sally.
me too.
I like anything that Nora Ephron has written or directed. The woman was a goddamn genius. But it's like if I had never seen When Harry Met Sally, I feel like I would have liked Hamtum because I like
Mm,
Seth, I like Rani, and it's an interesting concept and it feels like it would be right up my alley. But having seen the original has spoiled me forever. I can never
yeah,
like any other. That's also, I think,
yeah.
what is the genius of Vishal Bharadwaj is that the man basically took these Shakespearean plays, converted them into Bollywood movies. And to me, Makbul is far better than any Macbeth adaptation I could watch, mostly
Mm,
because of Irfan, because I love Irfan. Like, how are you going to replicate the Irfan Tabu magic? But it's like, yeah, I'm biased against
yeah,
Hamdam.
yeah.
So, um,
Mm.
I meant to ask you a question and I forgot. What do you think about how we talked about how Saif used to have this shtick of he always played this like lover boy Casanova persona, which he, by the way, most recently reprised in that movie where he has Kabir Bedi's granddaughter is in there with him, Javani
Mm-hmm.
Janeman,
Mm-hmm.
where he plays the older Casanova
Mm-hmm.
dad, which I thought was hysterical. He was so
Yeah,
good in that movie.
it's a good
Um,
idea.
so he went from doing that, and then he was never really considered like an A-list star, right? Like he was not in the leagues of like Shah Rukh, Salman, Amir. They were the three Khans, and Saif was like, huh, okay,
He's like
whatever.
A minus, right?
Huh, he's A minus. Um, but it's I don't know when that shift happened where he then started doing these really amazing roles. Do you think it's because he started doing the dramatic roles and kind of started showing us more than just his fun image? Is that when we all started taking him more seriously?
Is it a Kathinati? is that the point?
I feel
I
like that was
wonder
the probably
because
the pivotal.
I think Dilchata Tahe uses him so perfectly.
Yeah,
He is perfect in that film.
yeah,
But there's still a few years there where he's doing some kind of, whatever,
yeah.
including, yeah, including maybe Hum Tum. Um, National Film Award for Best
I
Actor
know.
aside, which we've already complained about. But
Yeah.
maybe it's Ekasina T where we start to see something different. Then we get, because right after that is Perinita, which is also a little bit,
Mm-mm. Oh, he was so
right?
lovely in it.
Then there's Salam Namaste, which is in some ways typical, but also just the pregnancy aspect is fairly
Right.
unusual. And then you get Being Cyrus and Omkara the next year, and then it's
Mm.
kind of, he kind of flits in and out of some of this stuff because he comes back with like, oh, Tara Rumpum, which I've never finished. Despite my love of both stars, I have never
I have
finished
never
it.
seen that movie.
I
I
couldn't do it. But then
refused.
there's Race where he's a villain
Oh
because
God.
everyone's a villain. Tashan. But then
Right.
you still get that same year is Toda Pyar, Toda Magic, which
Never
is,
seen that either.
it's okay. It's okay, but it's again kind of, but he's at least older there. He's a dad in that
Okay.
with kids who are around.
Oh,
And then you get, this year that we're talking about has Love Aaj Kal, but then Kurban is that same year. Then
so again, a more serious role.
there's a couple years with not much. Then there's Agent Vinod.
Hmm.
Cocktail is again kind of visiting this type, but doing it again with a slightly
And
better
it's by Homie
touch.
Ajania, who made Being Cyrus.
Cocktail is Imtiaz Ali, isn't it?
No, I think Cocktail is
Oh,
Homie
written
Ajania.
written by Imtiaz Ali. There we go, written by.
Oh, okay.
And then More Race, and then Go Go Agone, which is totally, very much a
Which
different
we
kind. And
love.
then I feel he's kind of off with these. He still does
Yeah.
some dumb things here and there, but
Then he did like Eklavya, which I enjoy.
yeah, I've never seen
Um,
that actually, but yeah, that
I
was
think you'll enjoy it.
that was 2007. Wow.
Oh,
God, these films are
interesting.
so much older than I thought they were.
I know. I'm one of those people that people say 2010, and I was like, oh, yesterday, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like he does Agent Vinod, then he does Phantom, which Phantom
Hmm.
was actually filmed in Chicago for a bit. So you and
Oh,
I should watch
nice.
it, but I have not been able
Yeah.
to get through it because it has Kit Kat in it, and I didn't want to watch it.
It has who?
Um, Katrina's in it.
Uh-uh. I
Um,
heard Kit Kat, and
I
my
said Kit
brain
Kat,
went to
yeah.
candy. Okay. Because I was like, wait, why is she talking about candy?
But anyway, yeah. So it's a weird career he has, and I'm all for it. But
But I agree with you. I think Ek Hasina Thi was that pivotal moment because I love that movie so much. And he is so, see, in our last episode, the Bebo episode, we were talking about how every Karina as a person and as a character is someone that I believe is out to con me. But Rani as a person and a character, I don't think would try to con me, even when she's a con artist, as in Bantur Bubbly.
yeah.
Like I just don't think she would con me, which is exactly how she would con me.
Mm.
But Saif in Ek Hasina Thi was so amazing because he snows Urmila's character the exact way he would snow you, and that's exactly why he makes your blood boil because you see yourself as
Yeah.
Urmila
Yeah.
because he turns on the charm and he's so slick and smooth and handsome and you're like and then you're like the romantic eye emoji like Urmila is, and then he screws her over and you're like, you know what, you deserve that ending that she gave you.
We'll clearly have to watch that for our
We
Urmila
will.
episode for our superstars when we get to
We
her.
love our avenging angels.
We do. And we love Urmila too. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good to revisit this film, but I don't know if I'll revisit it again.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think I will either. But
but
I did enjoy the songs a lot. I love Chor Bazari. I
that's the
love his
best one to me.
dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love his dancing in Ahu Ahu. Like,
Yeah.
especially when the two Sefs are dancing next to each
Yeah.
other, the turban one. That
That's
is
cute.
so cute.
It's
And
cute.
he's wearing the tight white outfit a la
Yeah.
John Travolta. And
Yeah.
he just
Have
looks
an
so
Elvis
adorable
outfit.
in it when he's
Mm-hmm.
like shaking his booty. It's like
Mm-hmm.
really cute.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd forgotten how much I enjoy watching Seth, and this movie kind of reminded me. I'd
Yeah.
also forgotten how much I don't enjoy Deepika. And this movie also
I like
reminded
her very
me.
much now, but to
Okay.
me, she had a very inconsistent first couple of years, which is consistent with learning, which she
But
has, I think.
but
And by,
I
then she was nailing it. So,
my
me.
it was opposite for me because I
Oh,
thought she was amazing in Om Shanti Om.
oh,
Like in her debut, I loved her in that. I just
huh.
thought she looked so good. And then I loved the whole Ik Chutki Sindoor. Like she was filmy, she was really masala, she was gorgeous. I completely bought her as dreamy girl. I loved her chemistry with Shah Rukh. I, the scene. I mean, of course, it's a Shah Rukh movie for me. But then the
Mhm.
part where he talks about किसी चीज को पूरे दिल से चाहो तो सारी कायनात, all of that he does. And it's like she was so phenomenal in it. And then every movie I saw after that, I was like, oh, it's Deepika.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of dreading the Deepika Superstars episode. I'll have to make you talk because I'm basically just going to be sighing the whole time. But we're going to have some of those. I know that when we do the Kajal
Yeah.
episode, I'm going to have to say the nice
Yeah.
things because you're going to be rolling your eyes.
Although, that as I think the Kapoor series did make me open my eyes to Randir a bit, which is,
Hmm,
I like him more now than I did going into that.
right.
So that's, I'm open to growing and learning. Maybe even when we get to Katrina, maybe not. I don't know.
Oh my God, I completely forgot Katrine. We would have to cover Katrine and the
I mean,
Superstars
we don't
series.
have to do anything, but it would be reasonable to cover her.
It would.
But
Okay.
again, like didn't do Hema Malini, but we're gonna do Katrina.
I know.
I don't like that.
We didn't do Asha
Maybe
Parekh.
we should
We
have
didn't
an
do Meena
episode,
Kumari.
right? We should have an episode where we just toss in all the people that we know we should do, but we don't want to.
I think that's a brilliant idea, actually. That is such a good idea. We should totally do that because you know what? Just yesterday on Instagram, I saw a reel because I follow all these accounts that post like old songs, like Purane
Yeah.
Geet and those. And there was a song that someone had posted from Sahib Bibi or Gulam. It was one of Meena Kumari's songs from that. And in that song, she's like getting ready. So
Mm,
she's wearing her Banarsi sari and she has her kajal and her bindi and her jhumkas and she looked so divine in it. And I was like, I kind of want to watch this movie again. I mean, I've only watched it for Wahida, but I was like, maybe I'll watch it this time and give Moaning Myrtle a shot.
yeah.
Um, so I like your idea a lot. I think we should do this kind of like catch-all episode where we discuss Hema, Meena Kumari, Asha Parekh, and like try to give them our most open mind
That's right.
and try to put our biases aside and be like, give us what you got.
Mm,
If we can do an episode on Rajiv Kapoor, we can do an episode on these women.
that's probably true. I mean, we did
Although
lump him
watching
in. We did lump him in with others.
this is true, but you did watch Ranteri Angameli, so
I
I
did.
do salute your fortitude. As I told you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You are stronger now,
I'm
Beth.
sure I am.
Okay, did you have any parting thoughts on Love Aaj Kal? Are you
No.
going to watch Love Aaj Kal too? Do you hate yourself that much or no?
No, but no, I didn't. I was not interested to watch it, if I recall. And then you told me not to. And I think a few other people also expressed to me that they thought it was terrible. So,
It is absolutely
I mean, again,
ghastly.
maybe on a plane or something, but I don't plan to seek it out. You know what I plan to seek out?
Hmm.
Speaking of things that had earlier iterations, I had completely forgotten that Love, Sex, or Doka 2 came out and it's on Netflix. So I'm gonna watch it.
I had no idea Love, Sex, and
Yeah,
Doka 2 came out.
yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it too then, because I love the first one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now
huh.
I did peek on Wikipedia, and the does not sound like we're in for a great treat, but I don't care because I will watch anything Debakar Banerjee does. So
Yes.
I will watch it anyway. And if I'm one of the few people who like it, that's great.
Okay, sounds good. Love Aaj 2, by the way, had Randeep Hooda in it as well. He was kind of like the Rishi
Oh,
Kapoor-esque character.
okay.
He was terrible. I know. I generally like
Oh,
Randeep
yeah, me
Hooda.
too.
So I was like, I don't like Kartik Aaryan. I don't like Sara Ali Khan. I was like, okay, maybe Randeep Hooda will be okay because these two I don't have any expectations from. And he was terrible as well.
Oh
And then the
no.
girl, Arushi Sharma or something her name was, she's also in it. So she's kind of like the Gisele Montero-ish character. She was terrible. So like everybody in this movie was bad. And Saif, being Saif, in an interview, he was asked what he thinks about Aaj Kal being remade, or
Oh
like a
no.
iteration of it called, I know exactly. What does he think about it? And he basically said, I think my film is better.
Fair enough.
Which is a very classic Seth thing to do. Like, I would be shocked. I would be shook if he said, well, let's give it a chance. It's probably, nope. Seth was like, I think my film was better.
Oh, and
Um,
many people, my memory of this is that many people consider Love Aaj Kal very, very good, right? Like
yeah,
maybe not full on a masterpiece, but pretty
yeah.
close. Like this and
Hmm.
Jab We Met are like,
Yeah.
you know, the
And
the
Tamasha for a
things. And
set of the
Tamasha, that's right.
population.
That's right. So
Yeah.
these are really films that a lot of people feel are essential and super important. So it's okay to say
So,
that if you were in that, it's okay to say that you think your version is better. Hey, that's fine.
so if we were ranking Imtiaz Ali movies, I'm
Mm.
curious, how would you rate, obviously, in, so okay, so there's good, bad, and okay. So in the good, I would definitely put Sochanatha and Jab We Met. I would put Lavaj Kal as well, but it's not in the same league as Jab We Met, obviously, but it's still good. And then Rockstar, I would put in the good category with a
Oh,
lot of reservations, with
oh,
only because I like Ranbir's acting in it and love the
the
music.
music is
The music is
incredible.
superlative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
superlative. I totally agree.
but
I
that
don't
is why I
like
have a lot
anything
of
else about it.
reservations. No, the character is
And
horrible
Shami.
also. Yes. And then I would put Amar Singh Chamkila in that category as well. And then in bad, I would put Lajkal 2, Jab Harry Met Sejal, horrific movie. Hate it. Hate Shah Rukh's character in it as well.
Mm,
Just the worst. And I've never seen Tamasha, so I don't have any opinions about it. What would your ranking be for good, bad, and sort of
probably
okay?
fairly similar. I
But
have not seen, have I seen Sochna Natha? I can't
it
remember.
has Aisha Taki and Abhay Deol in it.
Yeah, I get that one and Ahista mixed up. I don't know
Ah,
why,
okay.
but so I'd have to check. Um, yeah, Job We Met is going to be my favorite of his, I think. This is. I know I started out a little lukewarm. I would like to be clear that I'm more than lukewarm about this film, but I also recognize that it's not going to hold any particular magic for me,
Right.
except as an artifact, but that's also okay because that's important.
Hmm.
Rockstar, yeah, absolutely phenomenal music. Could not love that music more. Hated the film. Did not even finish the film, actually.
Oh, okay.
Bailed. Um, ugh,
How do
yeah,
you feel about Tamasha?
well, I loved it at the time. I have
Okay.
not rewatched it, so I don't know if I think it has
Interesting.
aged well. Interestingly, moment of overshare a little bit. So the last time I was in India, I was on a plane by myself going from one city to another, from Delhi, actually. And the person next to me on the plane was watching it on their laptop. And I had just been at that the scene where they're like in a restaurant and he's got his head on the bar and he's so sad. I had just been in that restaurant that very morning.
Nice.
So what's it called? Social? I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but anyway. Um, and I was feeling quite heartbroken at that time. And so I
Uh-huh.
remember being like, oh yeah, like, oh, that it me, but
Right.
that was several years after it had come out. So I I suspect I would find it a little bit man-childish in a way that
Mm.
I have increasingly less patience for. Um, but I remember liking it very much and finding it very effective.
Ah,
So I
okay.
might still, I don't know.
Maybe I'll watch it someday. I don't know. Not particularly enthusiastic about it,
Yeah,
but because there's just only so many Imtiaz Ali man-child movies I can take, Beth.
fair enough.
And the actress is not a draw for me either. I mean, it's like it's
Right.
got Deepika, so it's like,
And I
so.
believe that is the film about which our dear Amrita said, um, Ranbir is the best we've got, and she is better, meaning
Oh,
Deepika is better, and in whatever year that was. So,
interesting.
now I know Amrita said that about the two of them, and I think that was the film. So, Amrita, tell us if it was a different film you were talking about, if you remember. But, um,
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
anyway,
I think that that concludes this episode, and we will see all of our viewers again next week. Tell us what you think about this movie. Tell us what you think about Imtiaz Ali's movies in general. Give us your theories as to why you think his women characters are played so terribly by his actresses. Of course, with the exception of Bebo and Jab We Met, because we are just suspecting old-fashioned misogyny. But
yeah,
maybe
does
there's some
he
other reason.
is there something he's doing with this sort of flatness, blankness kind of thing that we're picking up on, or do we just not agree with him and want something else?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching Filmy Ladies. Bye.